see the information, you stop at that. Then the second one is the fairly rapid reading. This is next to skimming. We have said skimming is very fast. So the other one is fairly rapid reading, and it is employed during revision. So you must have read the whole material, and then you are going over it again. Maybe then at that moment you are having an examination or a test. So you have to read rapidly so that you will be able to touch those aspects that you have read properly before. The third one is average speed reading. This is a type of reading that you do when you are reading for pleasure. Maybe you don't have any deadline for the reading, you don't have any examination or test, so you are not under pressure. That is when you read averagely. And the last one is contemplative reading, which is a very slow reading pace that one uses when you are reading an unfamiliar or difficult text. For example, someone reading a foreign literature, a novel that is written by a foreign author, you discover that you would not understand the humor, you would not understand the use of language, so you have to read at a very slow pace so that you will be able to comprehend everything the author is trying to pass across. And at times, even when reading such text, you would have to put a dictionary beside you so that you will be able to look up new and difficult words. The second R stands for recall, and it has to do with measuring how much of what you have read has sunk into your memory. So you need to evaluate that. You need to measure what you have read, how far you have comprehended the material you have read. So you can use the following steps to know whether you have really assimilated what you have read. The first one you have to do is pause for some minutes after reading. Then put the text aside. Say aloud some of the main points that you have read. Write whatever you can remember in a jotter or notebook. Then return to the text to check if what you have written rhymes with what you have in the text. So this is very important. I'm going to go over that again. You pause for some minutes, maybe after a chapter. Pause and then put the textbook aside. Do as if you want to conduct a test for yourself. Then say aloud some of the main points that you have in the text. Write the main points in a jotter or notebook, and then pick the textbook and check if what you have written in the jotter or notebook rhymes with what you have in the textbook. So this will help you to measure your reading. And the last R stands for review. Review is a continuous process that involves going over what you have read to enhance easy remembrance when such information you have gathered through reading is required. So you always go through it, you review what you have done from time to time, and when you do this, you discover that what you read on a daily basis sticks better. You remember those things easily without stress, unlike someone who has to write an exam tomorrow and starts reading today. It will not stick to the memory as the person that has been reading for a long time. The second method is KWL method, and it stands for know, want, and learn. So we are picking the first one, know. Here you have to think and brainstorm so that your mind will be readily filled with the background knowledge of what you want to learn or the new knowledge you are about to acquire. And then you also examine keywords or terms relating to the topic you are about to read. Then you jot or note down topics or keywords or even terms that are relating to what you have read. Then you arrange the entries and discuss them in group The second one is what you want to learn, which is the wants out of the KWL. Here you determine what you already know about a given text, and all you need to do is go through the table of contents, charts, diagrams, tables, headings and sub-headings, so that you know which one is familiar to you and which one is not familiar to you. Then ruminate over what you are about to learn. Just think of it if you have an idea of what you're about to learn. Then compose questions about what you're about to learn, like you have done other questions in the SQ3R. So compose questions about what you're about to learn. And lastly, you arrange the questions you have composed according to their level of importance. The third one, learned. To know if you have truly learned, these are the things you are supposed to do. You answer questions you have composed, then itemize new things you have learned. So you answer the questions, then itemize the new things you have learned from the passage or from the text. Evaluate yourself by checking if answers you have provided in response to the questions are correct. And lastly, you devise symbols to represent main ideas, new ideas, questionable ideas, and ideas that you did not comprehend. So the new ideas, the questionable ones, the ideas that you did not comprehend are the ones you are going to symbolize. You use symbols to note them so that when next you are reading again, you'll be able to solve the problem relating to each of them. The 5 W's and the H method. This method is mostly used in journalism to write reports, news reports usually. So the 5 W's stand for who, what, where, when, why, and how. And so it explains who is involved, what happened, where it happened, when it happened, why it happened, and how it happened. So if you follow these steps, you'll be able to give a very good account of an event, who is involved in an incident, what happened, where did it happen, when did it happen, why did it happen, and how did it happen. So this will serve as a full report of an event. Note taking in oral presentation. Students can take notes in presentations, class presentations, lectures, and so on. So these are the following tips. There are tips to follow when you are taking notes in presentations. The first one I have here is arrive at the venue of the presentation promptly. Don't be late to lectures. This is what this point explains. If you arrive early and you start with the presenter, you discover that you have a full knowledge of what the presenter is saying. But if you join the presentation halfway, you discover that you must have lost the better part of the presentation, which might be the introduction and then part of the body of the presentation. Then sit in a vantage position at the venue of the presentation. If you are short-sighted or long-sighted, make sure you sit at a place that will be advantageous to you. Ensure that you have necessary equipment such as tape recorder, jotter, pen, etc. and be mentally prepared. So this explains going to the venue of a presentation with the writing materials and other equipment that will ensure proper listening and comprehension. You also pay rapt attention to the presentation. Don't be distracted. If you pay rapt attention to the presentation, you have a fulfilled listening. And lastly, discover the style and structure of the presentation and the requirements. This explains discovering the style of the presenter and the structure of the presentation and other requirements of the presenters. Be fully involved in the presentations and seek clarifications when necessary. This explains your participation in the presentation. Ask questions, make contributions, and so on. Then edit the notes you take consistently to avoid repetition and conflicting ideas. So you should ensure you read what you have written during the lecture so that you can erase your mistakes and so that you can avoid repetition and then erase the conflicting ideas. Note important questions raised during the presentation and answers to such questions. So anybody that has questions during the lecture, ensure that you note down the question and also note the answers provided to the questions. And lastly, revise the notes you have taken within a reasonable time so as not to delay reports of the presentation. So whatever you have written, do not keep it in your bag or your wallet or anywhere you have kept it. Make sure you do the report, do a kind of revision, go through it, edit it, and submit the report in good time so that your efforts will not be in vain. Other useful hints include being